Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Who would have thought the big transfer story of this international break would be Wrexham signing our mate Ben Foster. Absolutely huge news for Wrexham and for Ben as he signs on a short-term deal for Wrexham. And look, I tell you what, I think it's a genius move for both. You've got the cycling goalkeeper, will he have his GoPro? He'll certainly have his camera on. And Wrexham, the club that everybody's describing as a fairy tale, a story that people want to get involved in. They're top of the National League at the moment. I think it was at the weekend. Their goalkeeper got a knee injury that's basically going to put them out for quite a few weeks. Could be a season ender. They're 3 points clear at the top. What do? They go and get Ben Foster out of retirement. And suddenly, what was a blow for Wrexham, and obviously thoughts go to the goalkeeper with the injury, but what a short-term deal to do to bring Ben Foster out of retirement, put him in goal for Wrexham to see them through to promotion. I mean, I think they could have got me in goal, to be honest, and they would have been all right. I'm joking. No, look, whatever you think about retirement or anything like that, the reality is Ben's kept himself in shape. He was a goalkeeper in the Premier League last season, and this is non-league football. So look, not that Wrexham need the crowds or Ben needs the money or anything like that, but it's just a deal that makes sense. And look, I've played the game. I've been quite I wouldn't say I'm opposed to Wrexham. I'll talk about that in a minute, but the tweets are there and I'm not going to delete them. I don't think it's a fairy tale, but I tell you what, I think what I can't deny is that is a great move for Wrexham and it's a great move for Ben Foster, and they will get promoted. And I've said this as well. Wrexham fans think I've got an issue with them. I'll explain my issue in a moment, but I'll say this as well. Goldbridge hot take, and I'll stand by it. I don't care how many people clip it up. I would say Wrexham have got a better chance of winning the Premier League before Spurs. At this moment in time, it's the most logical thing in the world. And people will say, well, how's that going to happen? They're in the National League and Spurs are in the Premier League. Well, look, National League, League Two, League One, Premier League. 4 years they'll be in the Premier League, in my opinion. The shortest period. At some point in the next 5, 6, 7 years they'll be in the Premier League. Do you think Spurs are going to win the league in the next 4 or 5 years? I don't. I really don't. Man City aren't going anywhere. United could be about to get wealth. Arsenal could win it this year. So I do think that Wrexham are on the way up. I do think that what Reynolds and the other guy has done is very clever and obviously very heartfelt. And I think, as I say, Ben Foster signing for them, I presume he will be the first choice goalkeeper. I think their backup goalkeeper is about 37 themselves, but you've got a goalkeeper of the quality of Ben Foster. Surely he goes straight into that team. I suppose it will come down to fitness and stuff. Interestingly, I've got him on the United Stand Tour in Manchester tonight, so we'll be asking him a few questions, so watch out for the clips. But absolutely fantastic deal for him and fantastic for Wrexham. And what it will do is it will give Wrexham another boost of exposure. And as we've seen with Ben when he was at Watford, with all the, he's very socially aware around, vlogs and things like that. It just gives Wrexham what they want, which is that momentum. Now, what I will say here is, I have said in the past that I don't see Wrexham as a fairy tale like some people do. In no way, although it is disrespectful, am I saying that Wrexham are not worthy of what they're doing. All I'm saying is from a position of, look, I've done a little bit of work with Solihull Moors, who are just down the road from me. They're in the same league as Wrexham. They got to the playoff final last year and they lost. This year it's not going so well. It's a struggle to get out of the Championship. And when you've got a team like Wrexham in it, it's a cheat code. They've got way more money than everyone else. They can pay the wages of Championship players. They will get promoted. So it's a bit of ultimately, I think most of the National League just wants Wrexham to get promoted so that next year it's a bit more of a level playing field. But you can't dismiss the fact that Wrexham have got money. Man City have done this in the Premier League. Newcastle are going to do it. And can I just say, hello, it's not the start of the show again, but my club, Manchester United, could well be in the hands of Qatari ownership very, very soon, in which case we get a cheat code as well. So I'm not saying Wrexham's credibility is out of the window. I just don't think it's a fairy tale. If Man United win the league next year, because we spend another £300 million on players, can I say in a year's time, oh, it's a fairy tale? Every other rival's going to go, yeah, it's not a fairy tale. You've got loads more money than most other people. It's enjoyable for me as a Man United fan. It's enjoyable for United fans, but it's not a fairy tale. And that's all I'm saying about Wrexham. It's not a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale to Wrexham fans, but there's a lot of people who aren't Wrexham fans who try to tell you it's a fairy tale, and it's not. It's a cheat code. They've got a lot of money. Now, Wrexham fans get very stressed about that. I've said it about Man City, I've said it about Newcastle, I'll say it about United if it happens to us, and I'll say it about Wrexham. It's not a fairy tale to the rest of football who are having to struggle by. It's a fairy tale for the fans of those clubs. And, Wrexham, in my lifetime, have never been anything. So it's Cardiff and Swansea from Wales. Well, I think Wrexham are an interesting club to keep an eye on. And as I say, signings like this, they're very clever at what they're doing. They've got they're sponsored by TikTok, aren't they? They've got the Disney series. They're bringing Ben Foster in. It's very, very clever. Working with Ben like I have done over the last few months, it's going to be very interesting over the next few months just to learn more about it. But I won't change my stance. I'm not going to say, oh, it's a fairy tale, because ultimately they are the Man City of the National League. And for those fans of Wrexham and people who want to jump on board with that, yeah, you can call it a fairy tale, but to me it's not. I think it's inevitable. If you give somebody that amount of money in that league and allow them to bring that quality of player in, you will get promoted. Salford did it, and I think Salford did it on less of a budget than what Wrexham are doing it. So, but the interesting thing for Wrexham is going to be next year when they get promoted, because Salford have got stuck in League Two for the last few years now. But I don't think Wrexham will. I think Wrexham's plan is better than Salford, and maybe that's down to money. So, as I said, it's an interesting story to watch, Wrexham. I'm not denying that, but I think there's something more credible in what that lad that Will Still's doing in France. His footballing background is not of an ex-player. He's doing a great job at an unfashionable French club. That's a fairy tale. Wimbledon going to the final, FA Cup final in 1988 and beating Liverpool. That's a fairy tale. Wrexham winning the Premier League before Spurs. It's a fairy tale for Wrexham fans, but I actually think, as a hot take, I can see it happening. They are going to keep pumping money in. I mean, what National League club can pull Ben Foster out of retirement? I want to say to Ben tonight, what was it about the multi-millionaires that own Wrexham that attracted you out of retirement? Like, it's obvious, and it's also a great fit. I mean, and actually, I think, jokes aside, knowing Ben, I think he would have liked that for a month or two, just to go back and play for Wrexham and get promoted and stuff. I think I know he's very interested in the Spurs thing as well, but that never came to fruition. So I think he's eager just to get back playing. But it's a fantastic signing, an absolutely fantastic signing, and it's an interesting one because it opens up that conversation about Wrexham again, doesn't it? So I'll be very interested in the comments, because I guarantee most of you will be saying, "Oh, you're just bitter. It is a fairy tale," but it's not coming from a place of bitterness. Best of luck to them. Fair play to them. As I say, I think they've got more chance of winning the Premier League before Spurs. I think they're on a very steep trajectory. And once they're in the Premier League in a big club, and you'd imagine a big stadium, then they're there. It's just along the way, they are so much more powerful than everybody else in that league, and probably in the next league, and maybe even the next league. It's a little bit like when Rangers got kicked out down to the lowest league and they got promoted every year. This is what I'm expecting from Wrexham. So for me, it's not a fairy tale at the moment. I think the fairy tale will be when they're in the Premier League, mixing it up with Man United and Arsenal, and you look at that journey, because, okay, it's money, but it's still an amazing story when they get there. But at the moment, I think they're doing exactly what I would predict they would do. And I want to make it clear, just because it's not a fairy tale, just because it is that investment of money that gives you a bit of a cheat code, my club, Manchester United, is about to do that with Qatar, potentially. And I can't sit here over the next 10 years, if we win titles, going, oh, it's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale for Man United fans whenever you win a trophy or anything like that. But the rest of the world won't look at it and go, it's a fairy tale, what's happened at Man United or Man City, because it's that influx of cash. It's not the fans' fault. It's not the fans' fault. It's football's fault. This is the way football's going. The credibility of it, and we see that, UEFA are talking about multi-ownership. I mean, that sort of thing, it could become problematic in the future. Maybe we'll end up with a lot more clubs like Wrexham in the National League because they've got ownership from Liverpool or Manchester United. But the independent and, fairy tale football clubs, I think, will become less and less, because I think you do need that money now. The fairy tale is getting rich owners. Anyway, best of luck to Ben, best of luck to Wrexham. Get your comments in below. It's massive news. Thanks for watching. Smash a like and subscribe.